Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are catching this. I just wanted to welcome you into the world of administrative excellence. I am Janae Taylor, the relief trainer, and I am here with this week's edition of What's on Your Plate. Now, before we dive into our topic for today, What's on Your Plate is just my way of coming to you to bring you good tips and tricks to use to take your business or your ministry to the next level of excellence. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic, which is unproductive meetings. Look, I cannot stand unproductive meetings. My nerves get bad. My skin crawls when it comes to unproductive meetings. I don't know if you're like me, but I don't have that much time to waste. Period. So when I get in what we call meeting marathons, or what I call meeting marathons, it unnerves me. And what I mean by meeting marathons, on any particular day, if I have more than 3 meetings back to back, that is a marathon. And like most of my Mondays, that's all I'm doing. Somebody can ask you, how's your day going? Well, I'm in the middle of my meeting marathon. I'm in meeting 2 of 7 of an 8-hour workday. Yes, and we also get a lunch. So go figure. So am I being productive in my overall duties? No, because I'm sitting in meetings that are basically sucking the life out of me. So I'm here today to give you some tips and to explain how to better host or learn what a productive meeting is. So maybe if you're not the one hosting it at the time, you can, nudge the person and say, hey, have you ever tried doing this to help make the meetings better? In my line of work, I am known to have like the shortest meetings. No, I'm not rushing through the meeting. It's just that there's so much order that it doesn't take all the time that most meetings takes in order to get what's needed done. I wanted to share that with you so that you too can have a 15-minute meeting and yet it be productive instead of having an hour-long meeting or more, and you're still left with the same thing you started the meeting with an hour or more earlier. So a couple things I wanted to talk about. Unproductive meetings. So number 1, is the meeting really necessary? Are we meeting just to meet? Or can this, whatever the topic of the meeting is, can it not be handled in an email or on a phone call with the person that's in charge of that area? So I'm going to say that again. Number 1, is the meeting really necessary? Sometimes we meet just to meet, and that is so unproductive. That is the number 1 reason a meeting is being unproductive, because you get all of these people in the meeting and then you realize, oh, it really wasn't needed. Now, it's good if a meeting is short, but it's productive. It's bad if it's short because it was unnecessary. So before you even schedule a meeting, make sure, is it really needed? If it's not, send an email. If you can get a clear, direct answer in the email for what you are meeting for, do that. Let everybody have their time so that they can be productive in those things that they need to do to get done for the day. Number 2, if you have decided that no, an email is not going to do it, I need further discussion on the meeting. Okay, what type of meeting do you have? We just can't say we're going to have a meeting. Well, what type of meeting are we doing? There's various types of meetings. You can have what some people call stand-ups or check-ins, where everybody on the call is going over what they're working on for the week, for the day, however often that meeting occurs. You can have like a brainstorming meeting. Maybe the team needs to come together and work out a possible new products or a possible new ministry and how it's going to act and behave for the church and the community. That's a brainstorming. There are various types of meetings. So make sure, if you have, number 1, figured out that you actually need a meeting, make sure that you are scheduling the correct type of meeting. Do not waste your time or other people's time by bringing them into a meeting where the layout of the meeting is not correct, because then you're going to waste time trying to maneuver the meeting to where you need it to be when you could have known that going into the meeting. The next thing, this is so huge, agenda. Please have an agenda when you schedule your meeting. Do not schedule a meeting and you don't know what in the world you're going to talk about. That is another time waster. Have an agenda. If you know you need a meeting because it's not a topic that can be discussed in an email, you know the type of meeting, you should already know what needs to be discussed in the meeting. Jot those items down on what needs to be talked about in that meeting. Send it out to everybody that's going to attend the meeting so that they have a heads up. So if there's somebody, if one of the topics is not yours per se, but is somebody else's area and you're going to be asking them questions, be nice enough to send that agenda out so that they won't be blindsided when they come into the meeting. Okay? So far we have 1, is the meeting really needed? Okay? Number 2, once we figure out what that the meeting is needed, what kind of meeting are we going to have? And then number 3, we want to make sure that we set an agenda. Okay? Number 4, the duration and the attendees. So do not have a meeting. I don't like hour-long meetings. Us in this day and age, our attention span has shrunk. It probably used to be this long, but now it's shrunk a lot. So you want to make sure that you're not only being productive in these meetings, but you're being effective. And what I mean by that is that you have everybody's attention for the most part of the meeting so that you can get to the end goal of why you were having that meeting. So don't have a long drawn out meeting that's an hour or more when you only needed like 15 to 30 minutes to have that meeting to capture the information that needed to be shared between those involved, and you move on. So the duration, attendees, oh my goodness, do not invite the world to these meetings. If the person does not have not an interest, but if they don't have a stake, that's better. If they don't have a stake in the topic that is being discussed, do not invite them to your meeting. You're wasting their time. You're wasting your time by having them on the call, and that can lead to what everybody knows to be called sidebar conversations that will throw your meeting off. You do not need that type of distraction in your meeting. So make sure that you schedule it for the minimum amount of time that you need. Don't prolong it just because. And then number 2, make sure you only invite those people that have a stake in the meeting. Okay? And then also, when you're holding the meetings, make sure you have control of those meetings. That will help you keep it within the time frame that you set it for. And then if you're using your agenda, you will stay on task on what needs to be discussed, which again will keep you within your time frame. And then everybody can get what they need out of it. The meeting when they're there, and everybody's happy at the end because you didn't waste anybody's time. You had a productive meeting. A productive meeting. It can happen. So I'm going to go back over that again. To have a productive meeting, to not waste people's time, to waste your time if you are the host of this meeting. Make sure that when you verify that a meeting is needed. If it can be handled in an email or handled on a phone call, do that instead. You're not the only meeting that people have on their calendars. Okay. Number 2, make sure you know what type of meeting that you need. There's various types. I mentioned brainstorming. I've mentioned check-ins or stand-ups. Make sure that you are preparing for the correct type of meeting for what you need. Also, number 3, do not go into this meeting without an agenda or a roadmap on what needs to be discussed. Just don't go in there and just talk. No, stay on track by having an agenda. And if you can, send the agenda out to all those invited prior to the meeting starting. And if you can, like a day ahead would be great at minimum, so that people are not blindsided by being called on in the meeting. Number 4, duration and attendees. Make sure that you schedule the meeting for the amount of time that's necessary. Anything over an hour is unnecessary. Also, the attendees, make sure you're only inviting those that have a stake in the topic. Yeah, I'm sorry, my thing is just going off. And then also, holding the meetings. Make sure you use your agenda as the guide to get through that meeting on time, and make sure that everybody has input within the meeting that has been invited. That's how you have productive meetings. That's how I have productive meetings. That's how I can have a meeting in 15 minutes because I have an agenda. I call on, as I go through the agenda in the meeting, I only call on those people that are needed at that time to speak on the topic at hand. At the end, I do like a round table where I ask each person, do you have anything that you would like to provide to the team during this time? Once that's done, it's all over. The meeting is over. We've discussed what needed to be discussed in the time frame that it needed to be discussed. So everybody leaves happy when they say, or when I say, hey, I need to have a meeting. I don't have any disgruntled people coming to my meeting because they know we're going to get down to business as soon as that meeting starts. So if this was helpful to you, let me know in the comments. If you want more information, I have a great thing for you. I have written an ebook, to meet or not to meet. That is the question. That is the title of my new ebook that goes more in depth than this What's on Your Plate edition on having productive meetings. Check it out. It's in my store on my website right now. I don't want people to waste their lives in unproductive meetings. We have too much work to do. God has called us to do a lot of things, and the one thing that does not need to get in our way is unproductive meetings. Again, I'm Janae Taylor, the Relief Trainer, and I'm so glad that you stopped by. If you have any questions, any comments, any topics you want me to cover, please drop those in the comments below. I'll also add my link for my new ebook as well. I want you to make sure that you get it. To meet or not to meet, that is the question. Is my ebook on unproductive meetings. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this was helpful to you. Please reach out if you have any questions. Have a great day.